pay within 60 days, and report for booking. You'll go into court security 2 with the officer to set up the booking and processing. That's where they take your picture and prints. You don't need to pay a bond, but you do have to get your picture and prints under Kansas law.
A missed court date, a simple traffic violation, and suddenly things escalate fast. The state is already pushing for tougher consequences, and this courtroom is about to show how small decisions spiral big. Stay sharp, because every choice matters here. Subscribe now for more intense, real courtroom drama breakdowns like this.
Your Honor, the state's information that pursuant to the ticket, there's at least one unclassified misdemeanor currently before the court, specifically a sunscreening device violation. However, and it is also the state's understanding that the defendant had previously been given the benefit of a $500 cash bond. It would appear that this matter previously came before the court back in September of 2025, at which time the defendant failed to appear. It would appear that subsequently in December, the defendant did appear and the prospective possibility of diversion was discussed on the record. However, the state is not aware of having ever received an application for diversion in this matter. Based off of the same, as well as the prior failure to appear, the state is at least recommending a bench warrant bond forfeiture, $1,500 cash or surety.
That will be the order of the court. Bond forfeiture, bench warrant, $1,500 cash or surety. That seems a lot for a tinted window screen, but the defendant was given the opportunity to not even have to reappear if he provided proof that he'd taken that off.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. We will now be on the record in 2025 TR. It's on the newer case. Is that N.O. Addison in? Oh, okay. Addison v. Weir, 2025 TR 2956, I believe. But let me double check. I can't read that on my document because I've written over it. Yes, we're on the record in BU 2025 TR 2756, State of Kansas versus Addison v. Weir. Jared Regier for the state. Ms. Weir appears in person and pro se. You pronounce that Weir?
Weir, yes.
Weir, okay. Ms. Weir, in count 1, you're charged with operating a motor vehicle without a valid license. This is a B misdemeanor. The penalties could be up to $1,000 in fines and 6 months in jail. And then in count 2, you're charged with speeding 96 and a 65. That is an infraction. Carries a scheduled fine, but no jail time. Do you wish to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself in this matter?
Represent myself.
You understand that because the B misdemeanor does carry a possible 6-month sentence, you can apply for court appointed if you cannot afford to hire an attorney?
Yes.
But knowing that you can hire or apply for court appointed, you still wish to waive your right to an attorney and represent yourself?
Yes.
All right. Is anyone making you do this?
No.
Then I will have the record reflect that you've knowingly and voluntarily waived your right to an attorney orally on the record. And then on the speeding charges, you can plead. Well, they might be something you could apply for diversion for. Are you interested in applying for diversion? The speeding the speeding may be a little high anyway. All right. So if you're not interested in diversion or you don't qualify, then you can plead not guilty and set these for trial at a later date. That's if you want to deny the charges, or you can plead guilty, admitting the charges. You'd be found guilty and proceed to sentencing today. Or you could plead no contest. That means you don't admit the charge, but you don't want to deny them and take them to trial. You'd still be found guilty and proceed with sentencing. How do you wish to plead today to these charges, starting with count 1, no valid driver's license?
No contest and just sentencing today.
All right. How do you want to proceed on the speeding 96 and a 65?
No contest in sentencing today.
All right, with no contest, you're not wanting to admit these charges, but you don't want to deny them and take them to trial?
Yes.
All right, you understand you're giving up your right to trial. You will most likely be found guilty and proceed with sentencing today.
Okay.
That's what you want to do?
Yeah.
Is anyone making you do this today?
No.
All right. I find the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to an attorney on the record, and that she has knowingly and voluntarily entered pleas of no contest to counts 1 and 2. Mr. Weir, have you a factual basis to support these pleas and charges?
One moment, Your Honor.
Very well. Yes.
Your Honor, were this case to proceed to trial, the state's evidence would show that a stop occurred on November 7th, 2025, well within the appropriate statute of limitations, involving a 2011 Suzuki. Prior to the stop, the officer did identify the speed of the vehicle using radar at 96 miles per hour, where the legal speed was 65 miles per hour, i.e. 31 miles per hour over the posted speed limit, and the state's evidence would show the same were this case proceed to trial. Upon conducting the stop, the state's evidence would show that the officer identified the defendant as the driver, and the officer specifically noted the officers attached to the ticket, quote, driver said she did not have a license.
The defendant having knowingly and voluntarily entered pleas of no contest to counts 1 and 2, the state having provided an adequate factual basis to support the pleas and charges, the court finds the defendant guilty. Recommendations for sentencing, Mr. Weir?
Yes, Your Honor. With respect to count 1, the state is prepared to recommend a $100 fine, that the court imposes an appropriate court costs, and a suspended jail sentence of 120 days. With respect to count 2, the state would be recommending the scheduled fine, which the state understands to be $210, pursuant to KSA 82118 subsection C. The state is recommending a probation of 6 months. The state will defer to the court under the circumstances whether that should be a reporting or a non-reporting probation. It would also appear that this is a defendant who appears pursuant to a summons, and count 1 of the information by the state's understanding is a Class B misdemeanor.
Was your recommendation for fine on count 1 $100, Mr. Weir?
That is the state's recommendation, Your Honor.
Now this is where it gets serious. The state lays out fines, probation, and even a suspended jail sentence, all from a traffic stop. That's the power of stacking charges. One mistake compounds another. Do you think this punishment fits the situation? Or is this system escalating too aggressively here today?
All right, Ms. Weir, anything you want to say before I pronounce your sentence? You don't have to, but you're welcome to if you like.
No, thank you.
All right, on count 1, your fine is $100 and your sentence is 120 days in jail, suspended. You do not have to serve that as long as you successfully complete a 6-month non-reporting probation. I'm not going to require you to see a probation officer, but you are on probation for 6 months from today.
Okay.
Your fine on count 2 will be $210. You'll also be assessed court costs of $108. I believe that comes to $418. How much time will you need to pay that?
30 days. 30 days.
I'm going to give you 60 for good measure.
Okay.
But if you can pay it earlier, I would encourage you to do so.
Okay, thank you.
So your probation, again, if you don't want to serve 120 days in jail, you need to comply with 3 terms of probation. 1, violate no laws during this 6 months, pay within 60 days, and report for booking. You'll go into court security 2 with the officer to set up the booking and processing. That's where they take your picture and prints. You don't need to pay a bond, but you do have to get your picture and prints under Kansas law. So when you get the invitation at the end of this hearing, click on that so you can go in there with court security 2.
Okay.
Anything further, Mr. Weir?
Not on this matter, Judge.
Any questions or anything further, Ms. Weir?
No.
All right, then you're excused, but watch for that invitation on your screen to click on that. Jen, if
Okay.
you'd please put Ms. Weir in court security 2 in a breakout.
Your Honor, can I kick Laura Churchill off our hearing? She's just sitting in the breakout room.
Please, she probably just doesn't know what to do. And along those same concerns, how about Caris Hawkins? Did we not take her up? Caris Hawkins? No, she says not. All right, well, let's take her up now. We are on the record in BU 2025 TR 2070, State of Kansas versus Caris Nicole Hawkins. Joseph Baca for the state. Defendant Caris Hawkins appears in person and pro se. Wondered why you were still here, Mr. Baca. Didn't mean to leave you there, but thank you for waiting. Miss Hawkins, you are here after telling me, I believe back December 10th, you're going to apply for diversion. Did you do that?
Yeah, I don't qualify for that.
All right. So are you proceeding on your own behalf today without an attorney?
Yes, I am.
I don't see an attorney, but you're eligible to hire an attorney. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can apply and see if you qualify for court appointed. Are you wanting to have an attorney or waive attorney and represent yourself today?
I'll waive and represent myself today.
All right. You understand you can have an attorney if you wish,
Oh, yes, I do.
but knowing that you want to waive your right and represent yourself. Is that right? I need to hear you.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I will have the record reflect the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived right to attorney. And then let's see, go back to the charges. Remember, you have the one count of operating a motor vehicle without proof of liability insurance in Butler County on August 29th, 2025. How do you wish to plead to that? Do you want to plead not guilty and set up for trial? Guilty, admitting it, and proceed with sentencing, or no contest, not admitting or denying, but still being found guilty, having waived your right to hearing?
No contest.
All right. So you don't want to admit it, but you don't want to deny it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you know you have the right to a hearing, but you want to waive it?
That is correct.
Okay. Anyone making you waive your right to hearing and enter this plea today?
No, they are not.
All right. I will have the record reflect that the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to an attorney and entered a plea of no contest. Mr. Baca, have you a factual basis to support this plea?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, if we were to proceed to trial, the state would show that on August 29th of 2025, the defendant was operating a motor vehicle, a 2008 Honda, operating that vehicle at a location here in Butler County, Kansas, that being US 77 at milepost 79. At that location and at that time, a Butler County Sheriff's Department officer had stopped the vehicle and requested insurance on the vehicle, and at that time she could not provide valid insurance.
All right. I do find the state has provided a factual basis to support the free and voluntary no contest plea and find the defendant guilty of driving without proof of liability insurance in Butler County on 8, 29, and 25. Recommendations for sentencing, Mr. Baca, if any?
Your Honor, at this time, the state's recommendation would be the $300 mandatory minimum fine. Also recommend 120 days jail suspended. Recommend 6 months of non-reporting probation and pay court costs.
All right, Ms. Hawkins, anything you want to say before sentence? You don't have to, but you can if you like.
No, I don't have anything to say.
All right, at this time, you're fined $300 and assessed 108 court costs for 408. How much time do you need to pay $408?
I guess, is 90 days too long?
Nope, 90 days it is.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. Your sentence is 120 days in jail, but I will suspend that. If you don't want to serve that 120 days in jail, make sure you comply with all the terms of your 6-month non-reporting probation. That means you're on probation, but you don't have to see a probation officer. That probation is for 6 months from today. The conditions are: number 1, don't violate any laws during this 6 months. Number 2, pay the 408 within 90 days. And if you want to know how to pay that online and so forth, you'll need to call the clerk of the district court at 316-322-4370. The third,
Another defendant, same pattern. No contest plea, no attorney, and straight into sentencing. But this time, it's about driving without insurance. That might sound minor, but legally it's not. The consistency here is striking. Are these defendants underestimating the system or simply trying to resolve things as quickly as possible?
third condition, let me see if you need to comply with that. The third condition you've already complied with. You've had your picture and prints taken and posted a bond. So at this time, if you don't want to go to jail, don't violate any laws for 6 months, pay within 90 days.
Okay, do I need to go anywhere to sign up for the probation or anything?
No, because it's non-reporting. You don't see a probation officer.
Okay, understood.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's nothing further, you may go. We'll be in recess on the Hawkins matter. Jenna, that's everyone, is it not?
Your Honor, the
two
state
people-
understands there is one final matter.
Mr. Regier, what would that be? And then I'll come back to you, Jenna.
25 TR 2781, Your Honor.
Who is that?
Last name Yusuf. I have the state's information, Your Honor.
How do you spell that? With an H or an E or?
YOUSIF is
Oh,
the state's
Yusuf. Yeah, I
understanding.
think
Your
I do
Honor.
still have that. All right. Well, then, Jenna, is that the last one you have?
Your Honor, I also have Joseph Blaine Larson.
Okay, those are both yours, Mr. Regier, for today's purposes.
Your Honor, I do not appear to have that latter case on my docket. I respectfully inquire as to a case number.
Yeah, I don't have Larson either.
I have him 26 TR 55. This
Well,
could have been a clerical error.
Reset from 3-9. Well, Mr. Regier, I didn't have him when I printed off my list yesterday, but they've got him on there today.
Your Honor, if the court wishes to go on the record in this matter, I believe I am in a position to advise the court.
All right, Mr. Buck, I'm going to let you go if you don't have anything else on here.
Judge, I never mind staying just in case something comes up. That's what I'm here for.
All right, well, thank you. You're welcome to stay. All right, we are on the record in VU 2026 TR 55, State of Kansas versus Joseph Blaine Larson. Jared Regier for the state. Defendant fails to appear. Mr. Regier, any information?
Your Honor, I have no personal knowledge as to how this matter got on the docket. What I would tell the court is it would appear in this matter a $500 professional surety bond with a second chance bail bonds was executed for March 25th of this year at 9 a.m.
Yeah, Your Honor, I'm thinking it was a clerical error. I can just remove this from the docket because we don't even have his bond in.
Yeah, I don't see it in the file. So if we can get a copy of that and move it over to that date, that'd be the order of the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now then, that leaves us
What
with
date was you moving that to?
Jenna. Could you say that again, please, or Mr. Regier, whichever one of you has that?
Your Honor, as previously indicated, the state's information is that there is an appearance bond for $500 professional surety for an appearance on March 25th, 2026 at 9 a.m.
And if you could help the
Thank
jail
you.
put that down, we'd appreciate it. Thank you, Deputy. All right, we are on the record in BU 2025 TR 2781, State of Kansas versus Yasin Abdelmonem Ilaman Yusuf. Jared Regier for the state. Defendant was given a citation to be here today and fails to do so. Recommendations?
Your Honor, if the court is satisfied on the issue of service based off of the notice to appear date and time on the ticket, the state is recommending a somewhat higher bond in this matter in the amount of $4,000 cash or surety at the very least. State's information is that pursuant to the amended information, there are 2 counts currently before the court. Count 1, no proof of insurance, a Class B misdemeanor, and Count 3, driving while suspended, a Class A non-person misdemeanor, both of which the state considers significant, especially with respect to the latter charge. Additionally, this is a defendant who the state understands has a history of prior adjudications and convictions that the court may consider relevant, besides at least 1 prior conviction for driving while suspended, as alleged in the amended information, at least 5 non-traffic misdemeanor convictions and adjudications, as well as at least 1 non-traffic felony conviction. Additionally, it would appear from the state's information that this is defendant with another currently pending case out of Sedgwick County, 24 TR 18073. State's information is that matter was scheduled for hearing in December of 2024, at which time the defendant failed to appear. It is also the state's information that there are multiple charges currently before the court in that matter, including driving while suspended, registration violation, and no proof of insurance.
And your recommendation was 5,000?
4,000 cash or surety at the very least, given the circumstances, Your Honor.
The court does order a bench warrant and the new bond set at 4,000, cash or surety required.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Bench warrant, 4,000, cash or surety. I believe that is the end of this docket. So we will be adjourned. See those of you that are going to be here this afternoon at 1:30.
Very
Thank
good,
you,
Your Honor.
Mr. Baca, Mr. Regier, Jenna, Court Security 1 and 2.
Here's where the tone shifts dramatically. This isn't just traffic anymore. It's a defendant with prior convictions, a pending case, and another failure to appear. The court responds with a $4,000 bond and a bench warrant. That's a clear signal. Repeat behavior will trigger much harsher consequences in this courtroom system.